Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. You know, we say that all the time, but we also always mean it, because you know what we do? We learn together and we are exposed, we are taught, we learn from each other. But most importantly, what we do here is tell you the truth, and we tell you things that you need to know, things that you should be aware of, things that you're not going to get from the mainstream media because they have other loyalties. Their first loyalty is absolutely not to the mass audience. Their absolute loyalty is not at all to you. Their loyalty is to the plutocracy. Their loyalty is to the corporate state. Why is that? Because that is how they get paid. For those who are just coming in, I ask all of you constantly, I've asked you all the times, because the corporatocracy is still in control, they try to limit these types of speech unless you demand it. And how do you demand it on social media? You demand it by sharing. You demand it by sharing it on your wall, on your threads, on your Twitter, on all of the places that you can, so that other people can see it, so that by definition, if their sources are to work as they do in social media, that they do as people show that they want to see what's going to get them ahead. They want to see what is real. They want to be educated, as all of us should and want to be. We're going to have a great program about the media, in fact, today, because of something, of course, that's happening. And Chuck Todd kind of did it yesterday when he had to say, but let me bring a warm hello to my dear brothers and sisters who are already here. Ashley Miller, welcome aboard. We also have Alexis Betancourt, welcome aboard. We have Matthew Tiemann, welcome aboard. Dave Hamilton, welcome aboard. For those of you that I can't see right now, or those of you that are on Blog Talk Radio, those of you that are on Pacifica Network, welcome aboard, my dear brothers and sisters. Welcome. Look, folks, Kathleen Sidler, or let's see, Kathleen Sister, welcome aboard as well. You know, look, if I mess your name up, you can always slap me across the head over the air and give it to me. But folks, look, we have to start taking this stuff seriously. We have to be serious. We have to be intentional. We have to be deterministic, because if we're not, we will be eaten alive. The reason why most of America is in dire straits today, you can't blame the politicians. They're going where the money is. You blame those who inform our body politic. You know what's so funny about the whole thing, though? Technically speaking, in politics and the things that you want, money doesn't mean a damn thing, right? Because everybody has one thing in common, and that is the vote. And if we were to just realize that a vote every man, whether you're worth $1 billion, $10 billion, $1, or whether you're in the hawk, meaning you owe more money than you're worth, your vote is worth the same. So we have to remember that we should all be feeling empowered. We should not allow, when you go, we have a false sense of reverence in this country, right? We reverence people with money. We reverence people that we think have some sort of a stature. I've learned to reverence no one, to reverence deeds. You do a good thing, I reverence you for the good deed that you do. You do a bad thing, I do not reverence you for the bad thing that you do. And that goes with the people we consider movie stars, politicians, billionaires, rich people. I'll be honest, they mean absolutely nothing to me. And they should mean absolutely nothing to you. You are just as empowered, as powerful, and meaningful and deserving as absolutely anybody on this planet. Absolutely anybody on this planet. You do not honor titles. You do not honor wealth. You do not honor any of those things. You honor deeds. You see somebody doing well, honor that person, man. It'll multiply good deed doers. Don't honor the billionaire who has extracted his worth from you. Don't honor that movie star who has extracted worth indirectly from you. Oh, I love Denzel Washington. I love I love Nia Long. I love all those actors, actresses, or whatever is politically correct. But I don't sit down and honor them or sit down and think they are so deserving or more deserving than I am or that you are. If I see you stand, one of the things about my show, and I'm going to get into the show in a little bit, but I always like to have these preambles to sort of get people into the spirit of saying, I am worthy. I can do whatever I want to do. I am just as powerful as anybody. I always like to start my show with something that empowers people. Now, look, it is funny. My daughter, I was over at Netroots Nation 2018 in New Orleans 3 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And, I interviewed a whole lot of people, politicians and all these folks. And Cynthia Nixon was passing by. She's running for the governor of New York. And I'm like, hey, Cynthia. Cynthia and I called her over to do an interview with her. And she was one of the stars of Sex and the City. And, she's running for governor now. And I called her over and she said, okay, I'm coming. And then her handler held her back and said something to the effect of, we don't have the time to interview right now. But she was going to interview with a bigger network next to me, right? We were all on Radio Row. She was going to interview. And then, when she said that, Cynthia Nixon, the candidate, was coming over to talk. She was ready to talk. And the handler held her back. So that got me upset, especially since Cynthia was willing to come. So I went to the handler and I said, you're trying to shop her over to these people you consider the big guys. But let me tell you something. It's the little guys who made her who she is. It's the little guys, and guys, I mean women and men, the little guys who are going to keep her afloat and the little guys who are doing this thing. So please remember that, my dear friend. And then I went back to my station, the portion of its Radio Row, sat down. The handler, about 5 minutes, came back over and she said, Egberto, how much time do you need with her? I said, 3 to 4 minutes. And for anybody who go to the site, you can see we had a wonderful interview. She had a very good time interviewing with me. And you know what? It was the most positive interview she did out there. And you know why I said that? Because I listened to them all. So what I'm trying to say, folks, empowerment. No matter who you are, where you are in life, what stature you are, where you are economically, remember, your vote counts as much as a billionaire, and no person is worthy or is worth more than you are. Nobody, not me, not anybody, is worth more than you are. When we empower ourselves, we can then feel empowered to demand that this system reflects what we want it to do, and not that of the corporation, not that of the corporate state, not that of a few, not that of just these people. Okay? So what is our show going to be today? Oh, reminding you again, folks, please remember, if you're just joining us, share these programs on your wall, share these programs everywhere, because that is how we get critical mass. Anyhow, the title of the show today is, Does Chuck Todd Believe You Are Stupid? A Rewrite of History. And for those of you who don't know who Chuck Todd, he actually runs Meet the Press and Meet the Press Daily. He's the anchor for that. And he's one of the most reviled, one of the most popular anchors. They've really groomed him to be this guy. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I find interesting, right? And I didn't know that somebody just kind of wrote on the wall and said, hey, do you know that Chuck Todd does not have any degrees, not even a journalism degree? And I said, oh, really? I didn't know that. Let me first tell you, not that I think Chuck Todd is basically a very good journalist. I'm not going to But I think he falls into the trap of the plutocracy. But I think he's a very good journalist. And I am not the elitist type that believe only that a college education is the only means or method to success. Now, I'm a bachelor's in science and mechanical engineering for the University of Texas. So I'm talking against what I went through. But what I'm trying to say is what I tell people all the time, right? There are several avenues to be successful, and a college degree is just one of them. And just as you have successful college degree recipients, you have successful people who built themselves on their own merit, and that is what I support. Again, that all comes from self-worth. Again, my brothers and sisters, it's all about self-worth. But the reason I brought up the issue with Chuck Todd, right, is I don't know of any women or others that were granted that grooming to rise up to the top in their field without having that type of struggle. Just a thought process, just a thing I wanted you to think about. Anyhow, title of the show, Does Chuck Todd Believe You Are Stupid? A Rewrite of History. And the subtitle, long one here, is Chuck Todd showed an interesting form of self-serving projection as he tried to absolve the mainstream media from fault instead of putting it squarely on Fox News. How quickly has he forgotten his complicity? We won't. You won't. We won't. None of us won't. We can't. Okay, anyhow, do you ever get tired of the state of our media? Does it concern you that broadcast news has become mostly entertainment? What about a mainstream media that is shackled by those corporations they depend on for survival? The reality is that we need a paradigm shift. An independent media devoid of corporate interests is the only form that could possibly have the interests of the masses, your interests. That's the only way. An independent media, bar none. You cannot have a media dependent on corporate dollars somehow have in your work in your interest. Healthcare is just a good example. It is a mathematical certainty that if you remove the insurance companies from healthcare and have one entity paying a bill, a single payer system, meaning let's say the government or even a non-profit organization, one organization paying all medical bills, and we have one risk pool, the American population being the risk pool. It is a mathematical certainty that your healthcare bill is lower because of all the other externalities that are no longer required from a capitalistic business model. I am not saying that some businesses shouldn't operate in a capitalist domain. If it's not a necessity, be my guest. But anything that belongs in the commons, everything that people individually depend on for survival, must be the only ethical and moral solution is that these items do not fall under the capitalist model, because a for-profit model based on that type of reality destroys, kills, maims. If you doubt it, Texas should be your example. All right? Anyhow, repeating that last paragraph, the reality is that we need a paradigm shift. An independent media devoid of corporate interests is the only form that could possibly have the interests of the masses. Getting there requires that we think outside of the box. Okay, folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember, share this program if you're listening to it live on Facebook and elsewhere, on Twitter, Tumblr, everywhere. But further, if you're listening to it on a podcast or on a vlogcast, do remember to share it on all these platforms as well. We go through a lot of work to make sure that we put this program in the form that everybody can get to it. Whether it's video on YouTube, whether it's video on Facebook, whether it's podcasts on iTunes and TuneIn, on FM, on all these places. And of course, you get it live on KPFT 90.1 FM on Thursdays, FM in Houston. And of course, you can stream it all the time from there, kpft.org. You can stream it all the time from egbertowillies.com, or rather from politicsdoneright.com. So folks, we try to make it extremely easy for you to get this show through a myriad of avenues. And when you add up the myriad of avenues that people stream this from or see this, whether live or on podcast, we get to several thousand people, folks. But I want to tell you something. We need to scale from thousands to millions. And that is where you come in. We cannot say media is bad when you have the opportunity to make media good by forcing the issue and ensuring independent media gets its place in the entire political, private, entertaining domain. We can't complain when we have the wherewithal to make a difference and we don't do the minor things that we need to do to make that difference. So I ask you again, if you're just joining us, do remember, share everywhere. And if you have several pages, share it on every damn page that you get. If you have several accounts, share it. That is how we do it, my friends. Anyway, from the newsfeed, and this is from The Independent. A lot of folks don't follow any international news, and the truth of the matter is some international news, or most international news, have some sort of relevancy to folks here in the United States. So I want to bring that up some here real quickly. The Independent report the following. Emmanuel Macron has dealt Theresa May, that's the president of France, has dealt a blow to Theresa May, who is a prime minister of England, the UK, a major blow by rejecting her plan to rescue her Brexit plan. Brexit, for those who don't know, is the vote that the people had, the vote that the people were fooled in having to go ahead and get themselves out of the European Union. European Union is a conglomerate of European states who act as one commercially, and they do that so that they will be able to have strength with big countries like China, the United States, etc., to help them all out. So that's what they did. And a lot of the right-wingers convinced their people through several ingenious and disingenuous methods of having the country get out of Brexit. Anyhow, in his first response to their emergency talks, the French president said he respected the UK's decision to leave the bloc, but vowed to protect the EU's integrity at all costs. The comments appear to be a severe setback to Ms. May, hopes that the pair surprise talks early this month could achieve a breakthrough to rescue the beleaguered Chequers proposal. The Chequers proposal is where England wanted to have their cake and eat it too. In other words, they wanted to get out of the European Union. They didn't want to pay the taxes to be a member of the European Union. And at the same time, they didn't want to have to accept the people from Poland and Czech and all these other members of the European Unions into the UK. The way it works right now is you don't have to have a passport or anything to go between European countries that form the European Union. They're one block. It is as if there was just the United States, Canada, and Mexico decided to form one block, and you can move among each other and trade among each other as if you were one country. It's a commercial union. Okay? And it worked. It worked. Well, the right-wingers, in their false sense of nationalism, which there were other reasons why they did it, but that is beyond this, decided to convince the people to get out of that union. And now they are having second thoughts because the pain to get out, it's going to hurt England more than it hurts anybody else. And they're realizing that. And these are the same kinds of things Trump is doing here. When he throws the tariffs on, it's going to hurt us more, because what's going to happen is we increasing all these tariffs unilaterally. These other countries are going to make deals among each other. And you know what? Eventually, it'll reduce the amount of their dependence on the United States. And guess who that hurts? All the people Trump claimed that he was supporting, all the people that voted for Trump. Those are the ones who are actually going to suffer. Right now, Trump is giving away money. He's giving farmers welfare. He's giving a lot of all these people welfare. Why? Because their jobs, because a lot of their exports now have dried up because of the tariffs. So he's going to give them welfare to support them getting a job. Whatever happened when those factories closed down in cities all across the country? How comes they never got these big stipends from the government? Because it was policies and all these things that affected these things. I don't know. One must ask. The problem is that we don't ask these questions, and we allow these politicians to screw us left and right. So anyhow, Brexit is in trouble. But we are going to now get to the core of our program, and it has to do, what I want to do before I get to the core of the program is And I forgot to cue it here. So as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm cueing that video because I want you to see the video I'm talking about, what Chuck Todd had to say. It's very important that you see what he had to say. And after I show the video, I'm going to read the blog of the week. But I first must get to the video, and I didn't cue it before I got you guys online. So I am cueing it right now. And good for this. For anybody who wants a good program that can do these good broadcasts. And Wirecast is a bit expensive for something that's, some people have out there, but it's a good program to get a whole lot of this stuff done. Because look at what's going to happen now. I'll be able to cue this baby for you to see. But what I want you to do, my dear friends, is listen to Chuck Todd. And some people are going to just think of it as, so no big deal. It is a big deal. But here it goes. Listen to this.
These responsible Democratic leaders that are preaching impeachment caution, are these people, the base may say, give me Michael Avenatti, I don't want you responsible guys.
Well, right, and I think that's something the Democrats are going to have to deal with. But I tell you, on the Republican side, they got exactly what they wanted, a guy that was going to shake things up. Look, I think one of the best things going in Donald Trump's favor, we know this, is the mainstream media. I hate to say it. I know I'm sitting on a Meet the Press roundtable, but the truth of the matter is 62% think the media is biased. So in other words, if you look at the approval rating of Donald Trump,
well,
the approval rating
the conservative
of the media,
echo chamber created that environment. It's not. No. I mean, it has been a tactic and a tool of the Roger Ailes created echo chamber. So let's not pretend it's not anything other than that.
Well, hang on. Yes and no, because remember, the independents are part of Donald Trump's base. And I think that's very important. A lot of times we say Republicans are Donald Trump's base. Not really.
No, it's a separate Trump. It is a different version of the Republican
But those
Party.
Independents also distrust the media. This is not just Republicans. It is many Americans across the
No, I take your point. I'm just saying it was a creation, it was a campaign tactic. It's not like based in much fact.
Now, there was another video that I was supposed to queue up for you I'll read it and then I'll talk about it after, after I read the thing. But anyhow, do you know, folks, what time it is? Remember that video?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, here is the deal. And folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember to share this on your wall, your Facebook pages. Please remember to share this on Twitter, and please remember to share this everywhere. That is how we get to everybody. Anyhow, the title of the blog of the week is called NBC's Chuck Todd Attempt to Blame Fox News for Our Current State is Projection. It is projection. Here's the deal. It is almost comedic. It is also comedic for Chuck Todd, any TV network or cable network, to impart most of the blame for media distrust and the country's state on Fox News. And here is why. Look, Chuck Todd's attempt to blame Fox News more so than what most Americans by now should know is the height of self-serving projection. We must call it out. We must call it out often. We must call it out now. And here is the reason. And here is the deal. Donald Trump has always been a joke. There's no doubt. I mean, he's been caricatured. They've made fun of him at the White House, not only under the Trump administration, but all the time. He has always been a caricature. He's like one of those big bumbling babies that had a wealth fund, a trust fund, who's lost and gained the trust fund many times, and in the latter part of losing the trust fund, and notice I'm saying may, and this is for legal reasons I'm saying may have gotten wealthy again in some of the less than XXX terms, okay? So Donald Trump has always been a joke. It was easy to make fun of him because one could easily deconstruct his facade of being a successful businessman and even a reality TV star. The man has a history of sequential and concurrent failures alongside the fraudulent businesses he has concocted over the years that should have disqualified him from the presidency or the presidential plausibility all media gave to him. So here's what I'm saying now. All media, not Fox News, all media gave Donald Trump plausibility. Let's be frank. A lot of us Those who watch MSNBC or CNN thinks, oh, these guys are the bastions of progressivism or truth because you know what? They are fighting the good fight against Trump. No, they're fighting the good fight against Trump because Trump finally came after them for partially telling the truth about Trump. That's the reason why a lot of changes have occurred. Anyhow, Donald Trump has always been a joke, as I said. But anyhow, folks, the president appeared on every cable and broadcast network ad nauseum. You couldn't turn on the TV and not see Trump. If Trump wanted free press, he just wrote a tweet and everybody jumped on that tweet, and that was the message of the day. And then they'll call Trump up, and Trump will line the networks, and he'll be on the phone. He didn't even have to go to their studios. They called him up. Hey, Trump, you have anything to say? We're going to have Trump on in the next half hour. Oh, people come. Eyeballs. We're going to have Trump. That gave Donald J. Trump plausibility. After all, if CNN wants you, if CNBC wants you, if MSNBC wants you, if Fox News wants you, you could be president. Doesn't matter. And not only that, if they want you and if you're not in jail, you must be okay. The New York Times article CNN had a problem Donald Trump solved is probative. And I want you to listen to this good, my dear friends. This author got it perfectly right. They point out the following. And this is a little chunk that I took out of that article. So open quotes goes as follows. CNN was hardly the only news organization to provide saturation coverage of the Trump campaign. The media measurement firm MediaQuant calculated that Trump received the equivalent, listen folks, the equivalent of $5.8 billion in free media known as earned media, as opposed to paid advertising over the course of the election. $2.9 billion more than Hillary Clinton. Let me stop there for a second. Yes, he got free $5.9 billion, but the networks were able to sell that advertising because Trump is going to be there. Who knows? Comparable prices across the board? Well, they will never tell. Anyhow, because those things when calculated, it's not a cause and effect when they're calculating it, right? But anyhow, nor is CNN the only cable news network that has benefited from Trump's incarnation as a politician. MSNBC and Fox News each had a surge in ratings during the election that has shown no signs of slowing since then. Fox, the president's preferred outlet, is coming off the best quarter in history of 24-hour cable news. MSNBC, the network of resistance, has been thriving too, often even beating CNN during prime time. Wow. Pero escúchame, but CNN was the first major news organization. CNN, not Fox. CNN was the first major news organization to give Trump's campaign prolonged and sustained attention. He was a regular guest in the network studio from the earliest days of the Republican primaries, often at Zucker's suggestion. That's the leader, I guess one of the managers or something at CBS, or president, or one of those things. For a while, according to the MSNBC host Joe Scarborough, Trump referred to Zucker as his personal booker. When Trump preferred not to appear in person, he frequently called in, nor did CNN ever miss an opportunity to broadcast a Trump rally or speech, building the suspense with live footage of an empty lectern and breathless chirons. Donald Trump expected to speak any minute. Kalev Litaru, a data scientist using information obtained from the TV news archive, calculated that CNN mentioned Trump name nearly 8 times more frequently than that of second place finisher Ted Cruz during the primaries. So don't tell me they didn't have some sort of an effect. And by the way, close quote. Now back to my tone. The article titled Chuck Todd is the embodiment of a delegitimized traditional media illustrates the tenet of our incompetent media with the help of Thomas Mann and Norman Ornstein. That is an article I wrote several years ago, and it's sad that it still holds true. It talks about how the media has corrupted the body politic and in the process helped Americans make the wrong choices, put Americans in this fight against each other unnecessarily. It's a powerful article, so it's linked to the blog of the week. So check out the blog of the week and click on that article and share both of them. Share the blog of the week, share that article. They tell some important narratives that need to be told that, of course, the mainstream media is not going to tell you. They can't, right? They cannot. Anyway, and of course, we must not forget it was Chuck Todd who implied they softball politicians for fear they would not give interviews. So there's Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd is on with comedian Louis Black, and I don't remember the other comedian that he was on with. And this comedian is also a political satirist. And he was talking about how silly what the media was doing and the media was being used in the works. And Chuck Todd made the mistake and confessed. He said, well, one of the reasons we have to give these guys, I'm paraphrasing, the reason we have to give all these guys all these softball questions is because if we are too hard on them, they won't do any interviews with us. No. Come on, Chuck. That's BS. If all the media acted like media, the politicians would have no choice but to go to the media. If they ever intended or wanted to get their message out, they would. It's the reason why we have to have independent media, folks. Because, who's going to tell me what to say about anybody? Who? Is it going to be a possibility that some folks then won't come on to Politics Done Right? Yeah, that's true. But there's all kinds of ways to get people to come onto your show, and if they don't come onto your show, to still get valid information to put out to the people that makes sense. That's what I do most of the times. I am probably with I interview people only 33% of the times. Otherwise, we carry the show together. I think I'll probably have to be doing a bit more interviews as the political season gets ripened. But that's what we do. I find the stories, and we go through them together, and we give you the proper narrative. We give you the narrative of truth. Sometimes we'll come with a story that's full of lies and peppered with a few truths, and we fill in the blanks so that we can inform Americans appropriately. So, folks, there are so many ways that in this new world we can make a difference and do it right. The interesting thing, though, for it to work, we need you. All right, continuing to end the blog of the week, it goes as follows. So when Chuck Todd goes on his self-righteous hyperventilation as to Fox News causing the media distrust and by inference the election of an unqualified subject in the White House, he should remember one important fact. Fox News did what it always does. The rest of the mainstream media decided to go for the additional profits their corporations could make by selling out the country, by misinforming them, and giving the stature of a plausible president. So there you have it. There you have it. Folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. If you will, you give me a call. I'm very nice to it, or callers, and you get your own platform. And your own platform, you're heard all over the world, actually. Again, folks, that telephone number is 646-716-5812. Give us a call and say your piece, because you know what? Like I gave that big monologue. Well, is it a monologue or is it a soliloquy what I gave earlier? Whichever one it is, like I said before, this is your show. And as your show, folks, we want to hear your voice. I go to the website as well. Go to the website and read your voice as well. And what I try to do is answer them most of the times. Now, because this week I had to prepare for being at my board meeting, coffee party in Michigan, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about that in a little bit. But before I do that, I want to tell you something. There is a story at Raw Story, and the title of the story is Former Australian PM Says Rupert Murdoch is the Biggest Threat to Democracy in the World. Why am I reading that to you? I'm telling you why. Over here, Fox News has created a lot of havoc, right? They've given a second narrative. And because we don't have the proper pushback from the other parts of the mainstream media, their narrative, Fox News, same Fox News in Australia, well, they call it something else there, but same Murdoch properties, media properties, same havoc that they're doing in Australia, they're doing it here in the United States. In Australia, they've had so many prime ministers having to change that finally, one of them decided to speak out. So let me read a part of the article. It said as follows. The former Prime Minister of Australia slammed Fox News owner Rupert Murdoch for the country's vicious, toxic, and unstable politics. Same thing that Fox News is doing here. Writing in the Sydney Morning Herald, former Labour Party leader Kevin Rudd slammed the billionaire media mogul as the greatest cancer on the Australian democracy. Murdoch is not just a new, and this is the part that you need to know, and then we'll go into reading some of the posts that you have on the under the Facebook. Writing in the Sydney Morning Herald, former, and here's the deal, important. Former Labour Party leader Kevin Rudd slammed the billionaire media mogul as the greatest cancer on the Australian democracy. Murdoch is not just a news organization. Murdoch operates as a political party acting in pursuit of clearly defined commercial interests. In addition to his far-right ideological worldview, he charged. The former prime minister noted parallels with America, where the News Corp executive chairman owns Fox News and the Wall Street Journal. In the United States, Murdoch's Fox News is the political echo chamber of the far right, which enabled the Tea Party and then the Trump Party to stage a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, he noted. In Australia, as in America, Murdoch has campaigned for decades in support of tax cuts for the wealthy, killing action on climate change, and destroying anything approximating multiculturalism. Murdoch is also a political bully and a thug who for many years has hired bullies as his editors, he continued. This has produced a cowering, fearful political culture across the country. I know dozens of politicians, business leaders, academics, and journalists, both left and right, too frightened to take Murdoch on because they fear the repercussions for them personally. Now, folks, all true. And you know that is what we live here in the United States. All true. What I gave Chuck Todd, who was the protagonist of today's show, hell about when he claimed that it was Fox News who really got the president elected. The idea is this. Fox News does not control 50% of the media market. If that were the case, I would tell Chuck Todd, you know what, man? You could have done absolutely nothing to solve the Fox News problem because since they control more than half of the space, nothing could have been done to right that ship. So therefore, Fox News would be the same type of pariah as it is in Australia. That's not the case in America. In America, Fox News is only one network. There's MSNBC, there's CBS, there's ABC, there's NBC, there's MSNBC, there are all these other networks that combined are greater than the properties owned by Rupert Murdoch, Fox Media. So therefore, had these guys done their jobs, which is what I was saying, somehow Chuck Todd wants us to forget that what they tried to do is they tried to be a more mellow Fox, but they were making Fox lead. So you can't blame Fox because you had no dignity. You cannot blame Fox News because the other stations cowered to Fox. They should have taken the lead like many of them are now, but they're only doing it because it's in their self-interest. They thought that the Fox model worked, right? They saw Fox making high profits by being negative, by lying, and by doing these things. So they decided to join the bandwagon just with less causticity, right? They decided America, profits. America, capitalism. Okay, which one's going to win? And they betrayed the country. And you cannot blame Fox News for that. Fox News is not a news station. Fox News is a propaganda engine of the right wing. We know that. We've always known that. So that should not be a surprise to these other stations. These other stations had the ability to buck the system. When Donald Trump was on Fox News, they could have had the truth on their stations. When Donald Trump was lying, they could have had exposés saying he was lying. When he was talking about Barack Obama having been born in Kenya, it could have been said immediately, but look, his mother was an American. Point closed. He was born in Hawaii, first of all, but even they should have educated Americans. Even if he was born in Kenya, the fact that his biological mother is an American made him an American, born American citizen. But they didn't do that. They gave his arguments plausibility. Same with the healthcare debate, folks. Throw your death panels. They made it possible for Americans to believe that there were death panels. Every single time Trump used the word death panels, they should have been on the TV and said, America, we have to tell you the truth about this stuff. You can like it or not like it. You can like the Affordable Care Act or not like the Affordable Care Act. But here is the truth about how it works and what it does. And there are no death panels on it, and here is why. And then you tell them, Donald Trump says there are death panels because of this. Sarah Palin said there are death panels because of this. The right-wing Republicans said there are death panels and other things because of this. This is what the letter of the law says. This is the truth. Here is a black and white piece of paper you can study on your own, and you put it on TV because, most Americans don't have the time, or most Americans won't go through the wherewithal to go on the internet and find all these things and read through the hundreds of documents to get to that little piece that gave the death panel narrative plausibility. They didn't do that. And then they sit back and say, oh, look at what Fox News did. They corrupted the body politic. No, you did. Fox News was never intended to be a news channel. You were. So why blame somebody who was from their inception was a fraud? Why are you going to blame somebody that was from its inception a fraud? So the people that dropped the ball, the mainstream media, made up of all the networks that gave all the Trump and right-wing Republican lies plausibility. Absent that, America would continue to have voted in their interest. They attempted it. One of the great things about having a great politician, and I'm not talking about whether he's a great leader or whether he has great policies, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, every great politician knows how to go beyond the media. And that is how good President Obama was. And I'm not going to talk policy about Obama or anything because I have some very severe policy differences with President Obama. But the guy was a great politician that above and beyond everything the media did, above and beyond America's own prejudices, above and beyond all these things, he broke through and he got the majority, not the plurality, the majority and a large majority of all Americans of every creed to vote for him. And the policies that he ran on were policies that would have been good for just about every American, even the rich people that were going to do a little bit less, would have been paying some more taxes than they would like to, would have done better with what would have occurred. Just like how when Clinton raised taxes, the economy would zoom through the roof. I can lay the technical reasons why that would have happened had taxes been raised more, but that is for another show. That is for another show, because that is a show that we're going to make economics fun. You know, and I want to do that show when I'm not going to lose 90% of you in the first minute, because, you know, you start talking some of these numbers and people say, oh, I don't really want to talk about that. I don't really want to talk about that. But anyhow, folks, like I said now, it is important. It is important now, folks. It is important that we stay informed. Before I go and start asking and reading some of your notes on the page, I just want to remind all of you that this is a progressive station that needs your support. We work hard for you. I promise you that. You know, I go out there and I get the stuff done. Politics Done Right gets the stuff done. I spent the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Detroit, Michigan. Well, actually, it wasn't in Detroit, Michigan. You're going to see the video when I put it out there. We're in a farm about 150 or 60 miles or so outside of Detroit, a town called Lawton. We got ourselves a farm, 9 of us, the 9 board of directors of Coffee Party USA, got a farmhouse, and you'll see the picture. The picture's on my site right now. Some of the pictures are on my site of the farmhouse and us out there meeting and doing what we're going to do politically to help bring folks together of all parties, of all, you know, what we do at Coffee Party is we really try to bring people together, right? We believe, look, I am a very, very left-wing progressive. I believe in all the tenets that you hear me talk about. But I also have a large group of my friends. Some are right-wing, some are Trumpist, some are regular Republicans. I have a very diverse group of friends, and I'm not just talking about, oh, I say friend, you know, like when that person said, oh yeah, I have a black friend, or oh yeah, I got a Chinese friend. Not that kind of a friend. I'm saying I have real friends from every party, every kind of bean, because that is how we are going to make change, right? We have to intentionally integrate with people we don't agree with. We have to intentionally integrate and talk to civilly, respectfully, with people that we even think are crazy. How the hell could you vote for Trump, but you're my brother? How could you even vote for that guy? What were you thinking? What do you think of me that allowed you to vote for somebody who thinks that way about me? You have to make the intentional effort. And notice I said intentional, it's not easy. We're going to come together. We have to forget that these politicians are the ones who generated this division, right? They generated the construct to create these types of division. They win if we don't buck it. So I spent 3.5 days on this farm with 8 other people, and we sat down and strategized within the construct of Coffee Party what we were going to do in the year 2018 through 2019, or fiscal year, to try to create processes that bring people together. We just started. In fact, a couple of us went ahead and did some work on the website. We're doing new websites as well. But what we're starting to create is something known as local communities, because one of our mission statement is to bring communities together, right? Because that is how we are going to defeat the system. That is how we are going to give people power. That's how we're going to empower people, right? So you can be a Democrat, and I am a Democrat. I'm a left-wing Democrat, a proud one. And I have good friends that are right-wing Republicans, right? And how do we resolve those issues? How do we actually talk? You know, I have a good friend now. He's a Republican right-winger. He decided that he's going to do a blog on immigration. And in the process of doing his blog, you will be surprised that after he sat down and thought about it, not only from the perspective of himself, but from the perspective of how it affects the country and him personally, he came to the conclusion that we needed more immigrants in this country, etc., and he's writing a paper on it. That's a smart dude. When you can have communication, that is how you get things done. Getting together with people. What I want to do is not what the mainstream media does. Lie to you, only talk to you in the interest of their supporters, meaning the corporations, because the corporations cannot deal. If, you know my motto, when we unite Appalachia, the ghettos and the barrios. When we unite Appalachia, the ghettos and the barrios, that's when we win. The plutocracy doesn't want that. The corporatocracy doesn't want that, because if I'm enjoying your company, if I'm breaking bread with you, it means that together we can look at where the problem really lies. That's their biggest fear. And the Coffee Party intends to give the plutocracy its biggest fear, because that's what we do, unite communities. So anyhow, so that's where I spent my Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I came home yesterday. We were strategizing on how we were going to build these things, and I'm the director taking care of local communities, which means I have to get a whole lot of local communities, to be specific, over 400 local communities together throughout the country over the next several years. And that's the intent. Of course, we're going to have a whole lot of people working with me, because there's not a possibility that anybody can put 400 something. What is it? 438 or something like that communities together, at least, to really start geometrically changing the country. But anyhow, so that is one of the things we do. Politics done right also makes sure to bring stories to you that matters, right? And try to analyze stories that matters. In other words, not just your basic crap that's on TV. We're going to take something and deconstruct it, like how we've deconstructed healthcare, like how we've deconstructed the tax cut scam that the president did, like how we've even spoke. This is not we are an equal opportunity offender. We've given you the bad stuff that is in that Obamacare didn't take care of. We've also given you things like, well, look at President Obama wasn't no saint. Think about the drones that he used to kill a whole bunch of people who are not thinking about families. So I'm saying, nobody, we tell you the truth. There are some people that are better than others, in fact, based on the policies that they do, but we'll make sure and tell you that. So I'm asking you, if you believe in the truth, if you believe in hearing things the way they should, go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and become a subscriber. We have a lot of goodies for you. We're sending you your bumper sticker when you send us your address. We'll send you whatever you need. We make sure and give you first view on certain issues, like things like our Daily Coast, front page article for Sundays. You get to see it before anybody, because we are restricted to that, given our contract with Daily Coast, them getting first view of it before it can go to the mass audience. So, subscribe to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please note that we as well, Politics Done Right, supports other progressive stations, progressive websites. We support kpft.org. We support dailycoast.com. We support opednews.com. We support the democraticunderground.com. We support, of course, coffeepartyusa.com. Now, that one is not a progressive organization. We call it a transpartisan organization, and that particular group is one that I think all Americans should be a member of, and that is coffeepartyusa.com. You should check it out. Now, folks, so again, if you like what we do, and we ask you to share it, if that's all you do, share it. But more than anything else, we need subscribers. We need several thousand subscribers to get to do the kind of work that we're doing. Right now, we have Politics Done Right. We're going to bring on other shows as well. But right now, we can only do Politics Done Right. We need your support at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That's patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Okay, let me get to my people now that I've given you the ask. Let's go to the site. I don't have my site up, but I'll have my site up very shortly to ensure that you get your voice. And remember, this is one place where you do get your voice. We find it very important to let folks know that this is their show. This show belongs to them, to you. This show is your show. And you can change the direction of the show. You can call in anytime. You can tell us what you want. If there's something that we're not covering that you think is of interest and very important to others, that is what we're here for. We want you to tell us what you want, because that is the only way we can know what has to be done. So anyhow, let's see. Bringing you over, David Hamilton, welcome aboard. Matthew Tiemann, welcome aboard. Alexis Betancourt, Ashley Miller. Yeah, Ashley says, share. Absolutely so. Hey, Caitlin, thank you for watching, Egberto. Okay, let's see. Caitlin Slater, welcome aboard. Let's see who else is here. Denise Landry, you're laughing. I'm laughing too. I love the world. Daniel Ledo, my good friend. I could say something similar to my progressive friends. How can you support policies proven to fail for over 100 years? Daniel Ledo, what I'm going to want to do with you one of these days, right, is you live right here in Kingwood. I'm going to bring you into our studio whenever you want to. And you are going to tell our audience, and notice I said our audience because we're a family here, brother. And as much as you're a right-winger, former Tea Party guy, you're my friend, bring you over and let's do the talk. Okay, what do you mean by 20 people in mass audience? Oh, no. Don't look at your figures. I don't know where you've seen those figures, but no, several thousand. And so, I don't quite understand what you meant by 20, but you may want to highlight what you mean by that so I can correct you and maybe, who knows, even show you some analytics. But anyhow, folks, if you have anything that you want to say, give us a call at 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. For those of you who are not watching it live, remember this becomes a podcast, and you can find the podcast everywhere, including player.fm. You can find it at TuneIn. You can find it at what's the Apple one? iTunes. You can find it at Blog Talk Radio. You can find it everywhere that people listen. Okay, we're coming close to the end of the program. I just want to say thank you for listening. This is a daily thing. We learn together every day. So please feel free to give us a call. Please feel free to write in. Please feel free to do all that we know we need to do to right this ship. And right this ship, ultimately, we are going to do. Right this ship, ultimately, is the cause. Again, for those who are just joining us, please go ahead and support Politics Done Right. On the screen, you see patreon.com/politics done right. That's patreon.com/politics done right. That is patreon.com/politics done right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And again, I ask you, become a part of the family. But for now, you know how I close out every single program by telling you, we are out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.